What's going on? Coach Luka here from Vigor Fitness and Performance. And as you can see, I'm starting from the ground today, right? Not just because I'm chilling, but because this is where we're going to start today's video, because we're going to go over a warm-up, like a dynamic warm-up. And, you know, most of the time when, like I said, when we train clients, we create a specific dynamic warm-up for them based on what's going on with them. Like I said, where do they have the biggest restrictions? Where do they have things going on? You know, what needs to be addressed? And so it's pretty specific and individual. But, you know, but the truth is that the majority of people that come through our doors have very similar things going on. So, you know, ankle mobility is not great. Hip mobility is not great. Core is not, right? We have instability. Let's just say that they need better anterior core strength. You know, upper back is not mobile, so low back is the one that's moving too much. You know, shoulder function is not great because of upper back thoracic mobility, shoulder stability, and things like that. So there's, right, it's kind of like a pretty, I won't say general picture. So what I'm going to do today is just go over a general kind of warm-up, but that covers everything. So this will be a full body warm-up. And you know, the thing is that, you know, some people are kind of like, well, warm-ups are, you know, you can rush through it and you can, you know, and you'll be fine. The truth is, you know, for warm-ups are a workout. That, you know, it's part of the training session, and it's something you don't want to miss because we're already working on, I'd say that we're already working on, like I said, stabilizing, strengthening, mobilizing things that need work. And so it's a great opportunity not only to get warmed up for the workout, but already like ingrain some good movement patterns, like, you know, proper function of certain movements and muscles and things like that. So, you know, it's not just about getting warmed up. It's a lot more than that. And, you know, this warm-up will probably take you in, I would say about 10 minutes. You know, if you're in a rush, some things might get taken out. But I'm going to cover like pretty much everything. So this is something that we'd probably use with quite a few people that come through our doors before they get started training. Now, what I'm not going to go over today is, you know, foam rolling, soft tissue work, you know, using lacrosse balls, sticks, foam rollers to improve tissue quality. And we're not going to go over reset, which I'll do a separate video in, which is basically some breathing drills, PRI things that we would do before the dynamic warm-ups, and we actually teach that to our clients so that they're doing it once they become proficient. They come in and that's what they knock out. They do the foam rolling, the corrective stretches, and the reset and the breathing drills before we start this dynamic warm-up. Okay? So, like I said, I'm gonna post the different exercises that we're doing and how many of them. This is something you can run through. It's gonna go basically and affect a lot of different things. All right, so we're gonna start ground-based, like I said. So you kind of want to work from the ground up. Simple, you know, I would say more basic to more complex moves, like more single joint exercises to multi-joint exercises and things like that. But we also like to have some fun with it and implement primal move drills and things of that nature. So you're going to see me doing stuff on the ground and talk you guys through it. All right, so we're going to start off with just, and like I said, if we're doing a group class, we're going to start off with being tall, shoulder blades packed down, abs nice, and I'm not going to say brace them, but just keep that rib cage down. We're going to start with just working the ankles. So the key here is I'm just trying to not really have my knee move much because I want to get the movement from the ankles, right? So doing ankle circles, one way, the other way. All right, this is just basic stuff, starting to get loose, but like I said, most people you'll start seeing this really, really, really tighten the ankles, right? From there, I'm going to lay down, punch that heel into the ceiling. So basically, I'm completely locking out my leg. You're going to feel an active hamstring stretch. So I want to keep my back nice and flat to the ground. I don't want to be arched, so I'm going to keep my back flat to the ground. And then I'm just going to just switch and punch, right? And even just in this position, I'm actually feeling that hamstring get nice and stretched out actively. And depends, like I said, depends who you're working with, how many reps you're going to do, but you can do at least 5. From here, I'm going to bring both up, grab one, and get a light pull, like I said, like we're doing a stretch, and then we're going to lower the leg, right? So you can kind of connect this to the FMS drills, right? Straight leg raise, I'm going to keep my back. You want to make sure that, like I said, your back is not coming off the ground and arching, and you're trying to pull that leg a little bit, getting that hamstring stretch, rib cage down, so we're in a good pelvic position, and we're working that, right? So same thing we did about 5 reps. From here, I really like primal move to work on ankle dorsiflexion. So this would be our start position, but what I like to do is roll into it and then come up, right? So essentially, you can see right here, I am in a position where I can now start mobilizing that ankle, right? And there's a lot of ways that we can do this, and we can move different directions. So, you know, you can stay here for a little bit and then roll out of it. So I'm going to basically stay nice and tight, go down to my elbow, roll to the other side, and then come back up, push away a little bit. So this is doing a lot more than just ankle dorsiflexion. We're working on some primitive like movements and patterns and things like that. And it's more fun for people to do, right? So I'm going to keep driving like I would, like I said, if I was doing this standing. All right, now I'm going to come back. What I can also do here is thoracic mobility. So keeping my hands down, I'm going to keep my rib cage. So remember, I don't want my low back to move, so I'm breathing it out. And now pushing that sternum out. So what you're thinking, and you would do this slowly, is like doing a cat-camel. Right, I can roll out of that again. Back up, other side. So I'm just trying to move from my upper back, right? My low back is nice and locked in. I'm not moving my shoulders, I'm moving from my sternum, right? Pushing it out, pushing it back, right? Come back up. From this position, like I said, we can do a lot of stuff, and I like to do also neck mobility, right, which also works some visual components and things like that, right? But you can see how I'm rolling up into these positions. What I'm also doing, right, think about it. I'm in this quad pattern, right? So I'm also working some hip mobility and things like that. So that's pretty much how we'd started off. All right, so next we got the sideline windmill, which is a great exercise for like improving thoracic mobility, so that upper back mobility. From here, I'm going to use this foam roller, because what I want to do is I want to get my knee on it so that my low back is not twisting, right? So I want my low back to be stable so that I get all the movement from the upper back where I want it to be, right? So we start in this position, like we're going to clap, okay? My spine is nice and tall. I'm going to reach out, right? So I'm going to slide this hand out a little bit, and then I'm going to start coming across and looking at my hand as it opens up. Once I get to this position, I'm going to bring it back, right? So the reason is I don't want to move from the shoulder, so I'm letting the scapula kind of glide out, and then I'm moving from the upper back. Now, I also want to work some neck mobility, so I'm looking at my thumb the whole time, opening up. You're probably going to feel a stretch in your pec there as well, in your chest, right? But all of my movement, because this is locked in, all my movement is coming from the upper back. So I don't want the shoulder to drive it. I want the upper back to drive it. And like I said, we're also working on some neck mobility because we're looking at it. So we'd get 5 of those on each side. From there, glute bridges with reach, right? So just with the glute bridge, what's really important, where I try to emphasize is, you know, the feet are going to be closer to the butt. I'm going to get my rib cage down, flatten out that back. I'm going to come up, squeeze my butt. Can do that even one more time, just to get that rib cage in a good position. And from there, I'm going to reach up and across. Right, so now we're working glutes, but we're also working some thoracic mobility. Anywhere from 5 to 10 on each side. The other thing too that I like to do is once you actually reach across, breathe out. So now we're getting, like I said, glutes engaged, also getting those shoulders warmed up, but in a good position because we're doing a breathe out position. Okay, now we got a left stance. Now, first of all, just to dig in a little bit, right? If you know that most people have hips that are not in line, and we have this, like I said, this PRI position, right? So this is part of how we end up improving that posture, right? Resetting also joint positions and things like that, right? So this is a left stance, toe up, and med ball between the legs, and we're going to do a toe touch. And so what we do here, we're going to put the med ball in between the legs, and I'm going to start squeezing it, right? So I'm locking out my knees. And so the cue here is first I want to keep my rib cage down, so I'm going to just breathe out, right? And then from there, I'm going to essentially push my hips back to the wall, right? So I don't want to move from my back, I want to move from my hips. And also, I want to kind of pull my left socket, right? My hip socket in. Okay, so as I'm moving back with my hips, I'm just going to do a toe touch. I keep squeezing that ball. Like I said, I'm moving from my hips versus I want to have that double chin and coming back up. So all we're doing, we're going to do about 5 to 8, but all I'm doing here is, like I said, getting better at keeping that hip where it's supposed to be. Like I said, because most of the time, a lot of people like shift into that right hip and then we kind of lose stability on this hip. So this is reprogramming that and it's training that. Okay, so we throw that into the warm-ups, like I said, because it makes people do it, right? From there, we're going to go to a overhead, to a wall overhead flexion drill. It's very basic, so we want to be a little bit away from the wall with our feet, but our butt, upper back, and our neck, right on the back of the head, is against the wall. We want to have this double chin. All it is, we're going to come up overhead, and when we go up top here, if we can touch the wall, we're going to just breathe everything out. Breathe in through the nose and bring it back down, right? And come back up. Now this is actually a drill that we'll do. You're going to feel this in your upper back. Once we breathe out, you'll see a lot of people are going to come here. So we're training that overhead flexion. And if you can't do this test without pain or without getting overhead, we actually won't overhead press you. Okay, so that's important. This is also a test, but we drill it to get the function better in the warm-ups. All right, 135-degree wall slide. We're going to get our arms at 135 degrees out. Same thing, we're going to get that rib cage down. Neck is going to be packed. And from here, we're going to drive into, like I said, with our forearms, with the top of our, like I said, hand right there. And we're going to come up. So we're pushing into it, coming back, and shrugging. Right? Bringing it back, pushing against, bringing it back down. So we're going to do that for 8 reps, 10 reps. All right, now into more standing movement stuff. And from here, we're going to do a side lunge with an overhead reach. All right, so you'll see most people do not work a lot of lateral movements. So this is a great way to put them in there, get the form down, actively kind of lengthen those adductors. So from here, I always want to make sure that, like I said, you stay in the same line. You'll see people going out to one side or the other. So I'll usually do this on mats where people can actually see where their line is. So we're going to drop down into a lunge, side lunge, and from here, come over. I always like to positional breathe, so I get that rib cage down, double chin, and pull yourself up, and then we'll turn it around. Right? So from there, we're going to do about 5 reps per side. I like to get that positional breathing in on everything because Like I said, a lot of people are very driven into extension, and that gets them neutral, and then puts the shoulders where they're supposed to be, puts the pelvis where it's supposed to be. A great one to also do here is a pullback butt kick, right? And here, like I said, I want to kind of keep the emphasis on the leg not coming out, but being close to the knee, right? Rib cage is down. I'm going to squeeze. Obviously, I'm doing some balancing drills now showing you guys, but, right? So I'm not leaning back, but I pull my hip back. I keep my rib cage down, and from there, I drop into a lunge. Breathe out, firing this glute. You can see my rib cage is down, and I'm overhead, right? And I'd step back up, and I'd go to the other side. Okay, so that way, opening up, I'll say, getting the rectus femoris stretch in a good position, dropping down to a lunge, hip flexors, activating the glutes, coming overhead, right? We're training, staying out of extension when we go overhead. Now, for this next part, this is where we start, it becomes, I would say, like fun, but also we start putting movements together. And these are like, so like I said, some primal move stuff. You can integrate a lot of different things into it. Now, one of the drills that we didn't go over, but that I love is that squat to stand position, right? And like I said, these warm-ups, they're not exclusive. There's a lot of different things that we'll do, and we'll keep switching the protocols up, but we always want to include certain things. Now, like I said, now we're starting to get towards the end of the warm-up, and we're doing more movements pieced together, right? So we start in this squat position. I'm nice and tall. Like a lot of times I'll say, you know, push those knees out a little bit with the elbows so you can get nice and upright, okay? The thing is, if somebody can't get this low, it's all right. They might be here, okay? They might be here. Some people might even start here, right? Now, from there, we're going to walk out to a push-up position, right? And we want to drill that push-up position so we're not kind of like hanging on the last, so we want to be nice and pushing away. From here, we're going to go into a single leg, imagine downward dog position in yoga, okay? Now, I want to make sure my hips are not turned. They're nice in a line. I'm pushing the ground away. I'm keeping the rib cage down, getting my head in between my elbows. So like I said, we're working on thoracic mobility. I'm getting a hamstring stretch. I'm pushing this heel out, activating that glute. And from here now, I'm going to come to that Spider-Man lunge position, okay? So the thing is, if somebody can't, you know, move as well, sometimes if we get them to here, we'll just get them to adjust the leg a little bit. Back knee is locked out. I'm firing my glute, okay? Both hands are down. Once again, I'm going to here get some thoracic mobility and breathe out. Come up, open up, look at my arm, and bring it back down. Step back, other side, right? I can stay on a toe with that back foot. I'm punching out. I'm staying tall. I'm pushing the ground away. Hips are level to the ground. And back to that Spider-Man position. So I'm getting all my movement. It's not coming from the shoulder, but it's coming from the upper back, okay? Coming back down, stepping back. And I'm going to walk myself back into the squat position. From this position here, now we're going to work some more thoracic mobility. And I'm going to stay nice and tall, hook this foot, open up. Right, so all those drills, now that would be one repetition. And we'd go through that about 5 times. Right, so I'm a little bit out of breath there too, but look at how many different things we're doing and we're moving through. And like I said, this will change, and if somebody's got pretty proficient at it, you know, we can start doing cool stuff like walking out here, right, and stepping through, right, and then from here, going back. So it can become pretty fun, like I said, while we're working on these movements that we need to work on, okay? From there, we like to always kind of work on the creep or crawl position. So creeping is 6 points of contact, knee, toes, and my hands are down, okay? So I'm going to be nice and neutral here. And what we do, we have some fun with it. We'll put a foam roller in the back so that these movements become slow. And we try to maintain that roller so it's a neutral spine. We'll go 3 forward, 3 back. Like I said, this seems pretty simple. It's really not, but it's training a lot of great stuff, essentially from that quadruped position. Now, you start getting more advanced, we'll just get 4 points of contact and start doing the same thing. Foam roller in the back, slow movements, 3 forward, and 3 back, right? We'll do that for about 5 reps. And once again, it's like it's a mastery of a movement. It gets the clients really involved, and it's working on a lot of great things, okay? Now, after that, what I won't really go over and necessarily show, we'll go into movement stuff. So we're talking about high knees, coming down, butt kicks, skips, cariokas, because we do love to implement those things in, not only because they'll get the core temperature up at the end, so a couple minutes we'll do movement stuff. Sometimes it may be ladders, like I said, because it's fun, footwork, and that's like the final piece before we go into the training session. Now, like I said, warm-ups are going to be different for different people. Some people have less time, so we have to piece things together so that we can get other big, I would say big bang for the buck exercises in, because at the end of the day, right, we want to get them to their result, but we want them to move better, feel better, not be hurt, right? So, and prevent injury and all these great things, and that's what the warm-ups do. It's like they're improving movement patterns. We're kind of, we're fixing weak links. We're doing all these different types of things, right? But I hope that you saw kind of our progression, going from the ground, more simple to more complex, single joint to multiple joint, and then adding in movements, and then adding in movement, right? So literally locomotion with different things as far as like high knees, butt kicks, and things like that. Now, all of that, once you become proficient, this warm-up should be about, like I said, less than 10 minutes, right? At the beginning, it might be a little bit longer, but when you drill people to be able to get it down, it's awesome. So if you did this every single time before your training session for 4 weeks, I promise you're going to move better, you're going to feel better, and your training sessions are going to be better because you're going to be ready, right? Because this is what that does. It gets you ready, nervous system and everything, right? So start plugging it in. Check out below in the exact how many reps you're supposed to do in this warm-up, and just start using it, and you kind of get a good feeling of, a full body warm-up before you start your training session. Coach Luka, I'll be back with more tips and information and stuff that's going to help you be more awesome.